Jayson Tatum, Skip, because he hasn't played well this entire series. Steph Curry has played exceptional with the exception of a Game 5, and he already has 3 finals. He already has 3 chips. He has 2 MVPs, and he's already thought of as a historically transcendent player. So there's no pressure. And, Skip, he has the luxury of having a Game 7 in his home building. Now, it hadn't worked out well the very last time he had a Game 7 in his building, but he does still have that luxury. All the pressure is on Jayson Tatum. Why? He's in his building, and he hasn't played well. Turnovers has plagued him. He's shooting a horrible percentage, especially when Andrew Wiggins. And for the most part, Andrew Wiggins has outplayed him because he's taken the toughest defensive assignment, basically rendered him meaningless thus far in this series, and he's giving you 26 and 13 on the other end. And he gave you 17 and 16 on the other end in a crucial Game 4 and 26-13 in a win in a Game 5. So the pressure is on Jayson Tatum because what we see, Skip, we saw him go head-to-head with Kevin Durant, come out with flying colors, go head-to-head with a Giannis Antetokounmpo in a Game 6, outplayed him when he absolutely had to have it. And in a Game 7 against a Jimmy Butler, we see him. But in this series, he's come up small. He has not been the Jayson Tatum that we expected him to be to take that next step and enter into superstardom. He's a star. He's an all-star. But we were ready to anoint him. I know I was ready to anoint him a superstar. He's about to go into that realm, Skip, of superstardom. And right now, he's not there, and he hasn't played well. The pressure is on Jayson Tatum to the umpteenth degree. So I believe, in my estimation, more pressure is on Jayson Tatum than on Steph Curry because Steph Curry is already a made man, and I still got Game 7 in my building if I need it.
I remind you, sir, that against Miami, I nicknamed your man Jayson Tatum Jayson Turnover, and I think I was ahead of that curve. He is running away with the playoff lead in turnovers.
Yeah.
And he just can't help himself.
He can't help himself, Skip, right now. He can't help himself.
Unfortunately for him, his running mate can't help himself of late. And Jaylen Brown has been turning it over even worse. He's gone Westbrookian. Okay. First of all, overview on these finals. I believe the party is just now starting. I think we've had to sift through the rises and the falls and the rises and the falls, and I am finally excited about Game 6 because I believe the NBA Finals are only just beginning in Game 6. Wow. I believe that 2 legacies are definitely on the line, and I will start with Jayson Turnover's legacy. He has been an enormous disappointment.
He has.
He was the depth of a disappointment in Game 5 because his counterpart, Stephen Curry, Effin' Stephen as I sometimes call him, went 0 for 9 from 3, and Jayson Tatum went 1 for 5 in the fourth quarter and was not able to bring home a game that was begging to be brought home for the finale where they could have closed the deal in a Game 6 at home.
Right.
Would you believe that Jayson Tatum in the fourth quarters of these finals is 5 of 21? That's 24%. Should we credit Andrew Wiggins with 50% of that?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I guess we should. But still, when you make first-team All-NBA, first team, there are only 5 on that.
Right.
Jayson Tatum made first-team All-NBA. It's time to rise, shine, and validate a first-team All-NBA regular season award with a finals performance that lives up or even supersedes it, right?
Yeah, you're right.
And he has not.
No.
And he's been a little bit sink or swim through the whole playoff run because it's been a while. I'm trying to rack my brain, but I can't remember. Going way back, I can't remember a player roller coastering quite the way this player does, and he has been in the league for 5 years, so it's not like this is just his second year.
Yeah. We keep saying he's a young player, but no. He's not 19, he's 24.
In age, he's 24.
Right.
But he's played 5 NBA seasons now. And
how many Game 7, Skip? Remember his rookie year, he went to a Game 7 in the Eastern Conference Finals with LeBron.
Against LeBron James.
Yeah, and a Game 7 against Giannis, and a Game 7 against Jimmy Butler. So enough of this young, he's battle-tested, he should do better.
That's very objective on your part. And by the way, that Game 7 against LeBron, was pretty dicey for LeBron and company, but there was no Kyrie on the other side.
Right.
Kyrie's supposed to be, he left LeBron to go save Boston and take them to the next level. He was not there for that game.
Right.
And they hung in and gave it a pretty good run.
Right.
Okay. So I agree with you that there's enormous pressure on Jayson Tatum at home, but it just feels like that he's got something on his side that's called Celtic pride. And for me, he's going to get swept up in the emotion that the crowd's going to generate tomorrow night in a game they just cannot lose at home, because the Boston Celtics do not do that. Even though they've already lost a home game to Golden State, and they obviously lost 2 at home to Milwaukee and 2 at home to Miami.
Yeah.
All bad sign, bad sign, bad sign. It's why they're a flawed team, because they're 2 young stars, still young in stardom, trying to become superstars, can't get there. They can't get over the hump. They'll give you a flash, and then they give you a crash.
Right.
Flash and crash, flash and crash. And it's why they're flawed, but they're as great as Golden State has played on defense, and I don't throw that word around lightly, but they have played great on defense. Boston is still the better defensive team when they're right, when they're plugged in, when they are detonated. And I feel like they're going to be detonated in this game. So, again, I give you the pressure on Jayson Tatum, but I think it's going to be a football-esque, it's going to be a Patriots-esque sort of rise tomorrow night to play with NFL sort of urgency and passion that you haven't seen, you didn't see in Game 5.
Hey, we didn't see it in Game 4. Well, they showed it for Game 4 until the fourth quarter, and then they succumbed to the pressure. Skip, let me tell you why the pressure. If Jayson Tatum had a Game 4 like Steph Curry has already given you a virtuoso. So, and he's averaging 30-plus points a game. You mentioned Jayson Tatum is an all-NBA player, averaged 27 points in the regular season. He's averaging 23. That's 4 under what he normally averaged. So let's just say, for the sake of argument, Skip, he was averaging what he normally would average. You could say, well, he's not playing bad. I mean, he is scoring what he scored in the regular season, but it's dipped. He's shooting 31% from the floor. 31? That's awful. That's terrible. So now you magnify first team All-NBA. Here are the guys, and you look at the guys that he kept off the first team. Kevin Durant, LeBron James, DeMar DeRozan, all those guys that Jayson Tatum made in front of them.
He did.
And you look at what he had done up until the NBA Finals. Look what he averaged against KD. Look what he averaged against Giannis. Look what he did. He was the inaugural winner of the Larry Bird Eastern Conference Finals Player of the Eastern Conference Finals MVP.
He was.
Now he's come to this game, and he's smaller than Mini-Me. That won't do.
It won't do, and it will tarnish his legacy. Look, as you well know from Super Bowls, it's hard to get there. And you say, boy, this Celtics team is
ain't no guarantee.
There's no guarantee they're ever going to get back, because the East will just get a little stronger, a little better, a little deeper, and all of a sudden you'll say, wait a second, we had an injury here. We never quite got back.
Right.
Well, what if, heaven forbid, for Jayson Tatum's sake, what if they never get back in his career to the finals? It's possible they won't.
Hey, right, and this is what they'll remember. And the great Celtics, Skip, all the great Celtics has been able to rise in the finals. From Paul Pierce to Larry Bird to Mr. Walton, whomever you go back. Havlicek, you go back and look. Dave Cowens, whoever you want to say is a historically great. Sam Jones, Casey Jones, they've all had moments in the NBA finals. Well, Jayson Tatum, if you want to be in that light, you want to be thought of as those historically great Celtics, you got 2 games to prove it. Well, you got 1 game. Don't worry about Game 7. Worry about this game. This is for Skip. And I believe, look, if let's just say he were to get back to more NBA Finals and he plays well, it's like, well, his first one, he didn't play well. Larry Bird, first NBA Finals, he didn't play well. But Skip,
they won.
See? You see what winning will do? Winning will make you forget about how bad a player actually played in a series.
Okay, so I'm going to give you this. He's had 2 straight 1-for-5s in fourth quarters and 2 losses. Can't do it.
That won't work.
You can't if you're going to be a superstar. If he has a 3rd straight 1-for-5 and they crumble in the fourth quarter, if they crumble, then we're talking about stained legacy. We're talking about the world will sit back and say, you know what? He's a nice kid, but he isn't that guy. That's what they'll say.
But you know what, Skip? I would be, if he, let's just say he continues down this path and they lose, and he gets back to 2 or 3 more and he win those. Yes, there's like, yeah, but but he did have that one, but he did win 3. But Skip, like you said, you've got to seize this moment because you don't know. There might be another trade. The Nets might make a trade. Miami might make a trade. Philly might make another trade. Then all of a sudden, what the team that you beat last year, they're a very different team. Now, Chris Middleton's going to come back healthy. I don't believe the Celtics would have beat Milwaukee if Middleton's healthy. That's just me.
I agree.
So this notion that, oh, man, they young and they're going to just be here forever. No, they won't.
They came within a wide-open Jimmy Butler pull-up 3 on Al Horford of losing Game 7.
Yes.
Of blowing Game 7.
Yes.
Right?
And what caused it, Skip? Again, it's clutch situation, crunch situations, not being able to have a point guard, not being able to know. Skip, I give you a prime example. You saw it the other night. Steph Curry, they had to break transition, crowd going crazy. Yeah. They passed the ball to Steph. Now, a player that doesn't have a smart IQ, he lets it go because the crowd is all into it. Steph said, no, not now. This is not the time. Steph Curry pulled it out. You know why? Because his basketball IQ told him to say, this is not the right time. Time is of the essence.
I will say this. They had an easy 2-on-1 if he had just broken to the basket.
Right.
But he has revolutionized the whole sport by spotting up for a 3 on a semi-break. This could have been a flat-out 2-on-1 fast break.
Right.
And he turned that down in favor of Marcus Smart got back on him, and then he just pulled it out. Okay, go ahead.
Normally, Steph Curry lets that fly.
Yeah, well...
he lets that fly.
Okay, but when you're at that point, for whatever you were, I don't think he trusted himself.
But Steph's a shooter. Shooters always believe the next one's going to go in. Yeah. If you notice, Skip, he started pulling up from further and further out. He's like, I just need to see one go in. But that's a part of it, Skip, and that's the problem with the Celtics. They do good, but in the fourth quarter, in a 5-minute ball game, the other night, Skip, they get held scoreless, so they score like 2 or 3 points, and then Golden State scores 12, 13 points, and they end up winning the game. Jayson Tatum. And the problem is that when he struggled, the others... See, Steph Curry struggled in Game 5, but the others picked up the slack. Andrew Wiggins, Clay said, I got some timely shots. Poole, Peyton II. Who's gonna do that for Boston? Jayson Tatum, you can't count on anybody else to carry your bucket of water. Don't you count on Al Horford. Don't you count on Marcus Smart or Jaylen Brown. This is your time to shine.
But it has to be the fourth quarter, because I'm going to remind you again, through 3 quarters, he was 22 and 10, 22 points and 10 rebounds through 3 quarters.
Yeah.
That's winning numbers. Yeah,
right? But he had 9. I think he had 9 in the first and 9 in the third. So that's 18 of his 22. So he had 4 in the second.
He was 9 of 15 at that point, and then 1 of 5.
Yeah,
and just he made the one shot at 10:30, 10 and a half minutes left, and did not score another point. You cannot do that. Which brings me to the other central figure on the other team, the central figure of these whole finals, Steph Curry. You did say he had a virtuoso in Game 4.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure I can go all the way to virtuoso, because I tried to remind you, nobody wants to hear this, that Klay Thompson had scored 8 points in the fourth quarter before Steph finally broke through with about 3.5 minutes left. And made his first 3 of any fourth quarter in the finals. That was his first fourth quarter 3 of the finals. I give you third quarter Steph because he's off the charts. He's all-time. And he had, what was that?
15,
the 15-point night, and he had a 14
13, yeah.
Okay. I got all that. But the clock has started to tick on Steph Curry. And don't think he doesn't know it, because we're talking high basketball IQ and also LeBron-esque command of NBA history. He knows exactly what he's up against right now, because he's coming off 0 for 9 from 3.
Yes.
Do not discount that. That demon is lurking in the back of his mind. 0 for 9. And again, Draymond says he's going to be livid going into the next game. Well, okay, but this is high stakes now. This is Game 6 in Boston to save yourself from having to go home and face a Game 7. And in your dynastic run, you have not had to win a Game 7 to win a championship.
Right.
And when we did see Steph in a Game 7 in 2016, it was a flat-out nightmare. against LeBron and company, trying to stave off them coming back from 3-1 down. Steph went 6 of 19 in Game 7. He went 4 of 14 from 3. And when we got to that fateful fourth quarter with that game teeter-tottering back and forth, Steph went 1 of 6 from the floor and 1 of 5 from 3. And he did make a 3. Can we see this real quick just to remind everybody what happened down the stretch of Game 7? Because don't think this demon isn't lurking in the back of Steph's mind, because he made a 3 fairly early. It was about 6:57 left to tie the game. And then here we go. And he starts out, and there's a 3 to take a lead. No. Then there's a 3 to take another lead. The game is tied, and that hit nothing but backboard. And then here we go again, and this is a 3 to tie, and it's wild left. And he ends up missing 1, 2, 3, 4 threes down the stretch. Does not score another point, and we didn't even include in that little salvo you just saw, remember the fateful turnover.
Behind the back.
Yeah, it was 5:16 left. They were up a point, and he goes behind the back into the third row. Okay, it was Jayson Tatum all over again. If you're that guy, you can't do that, because it should have been his time in his house to take over the game.
Right.
And he did not. And finally, Kyrie ends it by, when nobody could make a shot, Kyrie said, okay, I'll make a shot.
Right.
LeBron had the chase down, had a little help from JR. But again, Cleveland almost benefited from no Steph down the stretch. And obviously they're focusing on him. And again, everybody tries to double him. But if you're that guy, if you're top 10 all time, you got to figure out how to score 1 point, 2 points down the stretch.
But I believe Steph is different now. Skip, when they overplay the 3 now, you'll see he'll drive the ball.
Okay.
If you're in that montage that you just showed, he only drove the ball one time. Other than that, he was. So now you see him now when they close out.
Yep.
He got a layup package for you.
Okay. Here's why the pressure is mounting on Steph. What just happened right before our very eyes? Well, Boston said, Steph, you can't have this tonight. We're going to take this away.
Oh, they face guarded.
We're going to be all over you tonight at your little 6'2" self.
Yeah.
And we're going to make it so hard on you that maybe you'll get frustrated. And did he ever? And he started trying harder and harder and shooting it deeper and deeper.
Mm-hmm.
And 0 for 9 did not equal win for Boston. So I'm pretty sure the Celtics are going to revisit and say, you know what? Let's let him have some shots tonight. Let's make sure. No, let's make sure that Wiggins doesn't go off on us. Let's make sure there's no Game 6 Clay. Let's just make sure that little Jordan Poole doesn't come in and light us up. Let's play it a little more straight up. I will bet you that's how they'll do it, because they're a proud defensive team, and 0 for 9 got them nowhere the other night. They lost by 10.
That's because your stars did not play well. It wasn't that Wiggins and Poole and those other guys beat you. Your guys didn't show up. Even though their superstar didn't show up, your guys didn't show up. It's kind of like, Skip, if I play the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and I held Tom Brady, I picked Tom Brady twice, and he throws for 185 yards, and we still lose, what? That means somebody, especially if I'm Mahomes or I'm Herbert or I'm Joe Burrow, that means somebody on the other side didn't do their job, because ain't no way my defense plays this good, hold Tom Brady to those numbers, and we lose the game.
Okay. You could be right, but I got a gut feeling, knowing Ime Udoka the way I've known him as a Spurs assistant, there's a lot of pride in there. There's tough pride. There's gritty pride, to the point that he just might say, you know what, tonight, let's play it a little more straight up. And if he makes them, he makes them. And if he goes off in the third quarter, fine. But we're not going to let we're not going to let Clay go off in the fourth quarter and just wipe us out.
Yeah. Okay? Well, switch it up. Either I would start Jaylen Brown or Jayson Tatum on Steph, and I would put Marcus Smart, because I want somebody a little bigger, somebody that can challenge him a little bit more, get up into him a little bit more. I would switch. I would do something different, because we've given him a steady diet. And they face guarded him last time, Skip, and I get it. That's old high school basketball. Steph didn't have the ball. He damn near half court. And they're playing 4-on-4 basketball. But you got to switch something up. You see the chess move that Steve Kerr made? He inserted Otto Porter into the starting lineup. Now, he doesn't play heavy minutes in the first quarter, because they go to Loon fairly quickly. But it was just a change of something, give you something else to think about. Because now you got another shooter. Otto Porter can, he can make the three, Skip. He gives you an opportunity to space the floor a little more.
All right, but tomorrow night, in the end, to me, is about Steph Curry. I think he will get some better looks than he got in the last game at home. And yet, I think in the back of his mind, he knows he's got to make those open looks, these semi-open looks.
Yeah.
Or he faces game 7 back home. You're looking at it as, I got this in my back pocket. I'm looking at it as, I got this in the back of my mind, where it's eating at me that we haven't been great in those kind of games at home, and we don't want to face that. I think we're going to talk about Steve Kerr telling more in the locker room after the game the other night. He said, we're going to finish this in Boston.
Yes.
I think they want to finish it in Boston because they don't want to get finished at home in game 7. So the clock ticks, the pressure mounts on Golden State to go take care of business at Boston. They've got the momentum. Just go drive it home and finish it off and take it home. And that pressure falls the most on the slender shoulders of one Stephen Curry.
Well, Steph has built up so much good credit, Skip, because he has already the finals on his resume. He already has the MVP. He doesn't have a finals MVP, and he has the game 7. What good credit has Jayson Tatum built up?
Well, you got it. But Steph's been at this a long time without a finals MVP. And the final point I'm going to make, there's still that 7-foot monster looming over these finals.
Right.
And he's sitting at home tweeting his tail off, and that's Kevin Durant.
Right.
But he looms over because he went and saved them, and they won back-to-backs, and he was the MVP of the 2 finals, and now he's not there. So can you do it without him?
All things being true, Skip, this would be worse for Kevin Durant than the Boston Celtics.
How?
Because Steph Curry, because they won without him.
Yeah. Well, okay.
They would have.
You got to do it. You got to finish it.
They would have bookend.
Yes.
They had the 3 years with KD. They went to 2 finals without KD, won one, and he hadn't gotten out only the first round one time. Man.
Okay. Here we go.
It changed the way people look at Steph.
Maybe there are 3 legacies on the line.
You might be right.
Yep.
Thank you for watching. You can subscribe here to get the latest from the show, and be sure to check out more of the best clips from Undisputed, or go watch a few other segments from our other shows on FS1.